Hello everybody, how is everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing great. I hope things are going as planned. If they are not, don't worry, I'm pretty sure they will. Hang in there, give it some time. Things will turn around, they always do. Anyway, without further ado, let us start off with our top news in Malaysia last week. At number one, by my count, the top news in Malaysia last week is going to be Yusoff Rawther, Yusoff Rawther, Yusoff Rawther. Why? Because Yusoff Rawther has still made it into the news even this week. This time he made the headlines because he's being accused of being a Mossad agent. With each passing day, I must say that I'm getting more and more impressed with Yusoff Rawther. Yusoff is technically a nobody. Anwar Ibrahim, the man he is against, is the number one in the country. Not only that, Anwar is arguably the greatest politician that Malaysia has ever seen. Before Anwar, the greatest politician that Malaysia has ever seen is of course Mahathir, because nobody has defeated Mahathir, although Mahathir was on the political landscape for decades. But Anwar is the only one who defeated Mahathir. Now, objectively speaking, the right way for somebody like Anwar to deal with Yusoff is actually by ignoring Yusoff. This is because Yusoff has nothing to lose and everything to gain by going against Anwar. And Anwar, on the other hand, has nothing to gain and everything to lose by going against Yusoff. If Anwar confronts Yusoff, it will be Yusoff that will rise to Anwar's stature, while Anwar will be pulled down to Yusoff's level. Anwar himself probably knows of this rule of engagement because he has been ignoring Yusoff for the longest time. The sexual assault allegation, that Yusoff has filed against Anwar dates to 2018, guys, which was about 7 years ago. From 2018 until last year, Anwar has followed the playbook religiously by not paying any heed to Yusoff. But then last September, something changed. Yusoff was caught for drugs and firearms charges, which Yusoff claims has been set up against him to assist Anwar to avoid facing his sexual assault suit on June 16, which was a couple of days ago. That Yusoff was freed by the courts from the charges without having to enter his defense just a couple of weeks ago, is reinforcing the perception that the drugs and firearm charges against Yusoff is indeed something that is conjured up. Early this month, that Anwar was getting so desperate that he combed through the constitution to get legal immunity so that he can avoid facing Yusoff in court, is also reinforcing the perception that there is more to Yusoff's charges than meets the eyes. Although Anwar's request for legal immunity was dismissed by the High Court, that Anwar would appeal the decision to get and got the appeals court to extend him a stay order to postpone addressing Yusoff's civil suit against him on 16th of June. Is increasing the perception that it's the mouse that is chasing the cat in the Yusoff Rawther Anwar Ibrahim saga. That this week, an NGO was filing a police report to allege that Yusoff might be a Mossad agent because an article that Yusoff wrote to an Israeli publication in 2007 and 2017, guys, that's 8 years ago, is also making us ask whether Anwar is afraid of facing Yusoff. Now, if you're wondering as to the basis of the NGO's accusation, it is a 2017 article Yusoff wrote for the Israel National News. It was titled "One Malaysian Standing with Israel." It's a long article, but basically what it said was Yusoff, the writer, thinks that Israel is right and Palestine is wrong. Regardless of whether Yusoff wrote the article or not, I doubt whether the accusation that Yusoff is a Mossad agent will go anywhere simply because Malaysia doesn't even recognize Israel. How is our police going to verify whether it was Yusoff that sent an article to an Israeli news outlet 8 years ago when the country doesn't even have any diplomatic relations with Israel. In other words, I truly believe that the Yusoff Rawther is a friend of Israel narrative is just an attempt to shift the narrative. If Yusoff's image can be tainted with foreign alliances, then perhaps his allegation against Anwar might be dismissed more easily. However, the very fact that there needs to be a narrative to taint Yusoff's image is itself indicating that Anwar Ibrahim might indeed be more afraid of Yusoff than we imagine. In the court of public opinion, that Anwar, the greatest politician our country has ever seen, is so afraid of Yusoff that he seems to be doing anything and everything to avoid confronting Yusoff. Is indeed transforming Yusoff from a nobody into a somebody. Mahathir, Anwar's arch enemy, has already come out with a salvo against Anwar. Mahathir has already asked, if Anwar is not guilty, why be so afraid to confront his accuser in court? Couple of months ago, I could barely care about Yusoff. This month, I have mentioned Yusoff in half a dozen times in a half a dozen different content. In a couple of months, who knows? I might even be cheering for him as the crowd cheered for David as David defeated Goliath. Anyway, one thing is for certain, Yusoff is going nowhere. He is definitely going to be on the radar. He is someone that we will be watching with more and more interest in the days and weeks to come. Stay tuned.